Hi, Councillor, are you on the platform?
Thank you. I can hear you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. We were just making sure that you're on the platform.
Yes, I'm sorry. I was trying to talk just now, but no one seemed to be able to hear me. But yes, I'm on the platform.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're able to hear you. Okay. Hi, Faisal. Mr. Paulse here, Acting Municipal Manager. Are you in the meeting?
Yeah. Are you talking to me, Mr. Paulson?
Okay, thank you. I'll just let the chairperson know that you are in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good day, everyone. Melanie Joffe is with me. She's joining on my computer.
Okay, we're just waiting for the scribe also to log on that we're on the same platform. She's trying now. Just hold on. Okay, we're all sorted. The scribe is in, so yeah. Let's then get to the meeting. I'll hand over to the chair. Okay, the chairperson is online through my laptop. So can everybody hear the chairperson?
Everyone
Good
could hear
afternoon.
nothing.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, Chair.
Thank you so much. So we officially open the MPAC meeting, our first meeting of 2025. Can I please request that Councillor de Blanche open with a prayer for us? Thank you. Amen. Thank you, Councillor de Blanche. We'll move straight over to number 2, attendance register. I'm sure it's all circulated. Can everyone that's online just give me an acknowledgement?
Councillor Swart online.
Thank you, Councillor Swartz.
Sorry, let me just say we've got IT here. What is portrayed or put on the screen, that's the wrong meeting. We're just trying to switch all of you into one meeting. So IT is just trying to get that done. Yeah, so just slight patience required. So everybody will be connected now.
That meeting invite needs to be sent to the in the notebook here and join it on.
Okay, just a bit of patience.
That we can we proceed?
Just want to invite the chambers room level.
Without the invite. There's one killer.
Yeah, it seems everybody's in it.
Yeah. Now we need to sign in this one.
I'm just okay. Doesn't she switch off?
Thank you very much. Apologies for that. It's a bit loud.
It's just put a mic on here, and I think it's this one. Yeah, we need to switch this one.
We don't know. Just
Thank you for your patience, ladies and gentlemen. We can proceed. Move to number 3, application for leave of absence. Felicity. Thank you. Then we can move over to number 4. I would like to make an amendment on the agenda and move number 5 to number 4 and number 4 to number 5. We will first do the statement communication by MPAC chairperson. Thank you. So good afternoon, everyone, colleagues and guests that's online. I would like to extend a warm welcome to each of you as we gather today for this important meeting of the Municipal Public Accounts Committee. It is both an honor and a privilege to stand before you as the chairperson. And I appreciate your commitment to our shared mission of promoting transparency, accountability, and good governance within our municipality. As we convene today, apologies for that. Okay, I'll proceed. As we convene today, we have the opportunity to reflect on our achievements, address challenges, and set a clear path forward. The work we do here is vital, not only for the effective management of our municipality's resources, but also for building trust within our community. Our role as MPAC is to ensure that public funds are used effectively and that we would hold ourselves accountable to the citizens we serve. In our agenda today, we will review key financial reports, audit findings, and performance assessments. We must critically examine these documents and ask ourselves, are we meeting the expectations of our constituencies? Are we using their resources in a manner that reflects our commitment to integrity and excellence? I want to take a moment to acknowledge the hard work that each of you has contributed. Your dedication and expertise are invaluable assets to this committee. Together, we have made significant strides in enhancing the oversight of our municipal finances, and I am proud of the collaboration spirit that defines our work. However, we must also recognize the areas where we can improve. The challenges we face are not insignificant, and we must address them with diligence and creativity. Let us use today's discussions to brainstorm solutions, share insights, and develop actionable strategies that will guide us towards a better outcome for our community. With that, I would like to thank each and every one of you that had input in our oversight report. And I would like a special thanks to my coordinator. You can sleep tonight when this is all done. We really do appreciate you. We can move straight over to point number 5. Administration, you can take us through the introduction, please.
Point number 4 is the confirmation of the departmental visits. Yeah.
So what we did in our oversight report, we had engagement with all the different departments on various days. So on the 7th of February 2025, we had a discussion with finance. On the 11th of February, engineering. On the 20th of February, community service. On the 28th of February, corporate service, town planning and development. We were scheduled to meet with the office on the 7th of March, but unfortunately we had some issues there. But if you will see right at the end, we did communicate with them via email and they did respond. I would like to remind each and every department that promise us feedback. Do not forget about it. We are still waiting on your reports. Councillor Avalanche, any inputs? Is that a true reflection of the meetings that we had with our different departments?
Correct. So, Chairperson, we had, can confirm we had various meetings. It's a full reflection.
Can you propose for us? Councillor Swartz?
Our second, Chair.
Thank you so much. At them close, we can move to the next one. Point number 6. No, apologies for that. 5.1, or the general presentation. Can you please introduce Doris?
Point number 5 is the presentation by the Auditor General. Yeah. I'm not sure if she's ready.
Yes, I am. Thank you, Doris.
Okay.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, everybody. Doris, are you going to be flighting the slides that we sent?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Because I've got the slides obviously on my side, but I'm I'm not sure how coordinated we're going to be. If you can just tell me if you are showing them.
Yeah.
Just go back to the.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, we can't see them. Oh, there we go. Oh, this is our. Okay, I can't see them on the Teams. But okay, if you're flighting them your side, then that is great. Okay, so good afternoon, everybody.
Sorry,
Yes.
Chair, if I may.
Yes, you may.
I cannot see anything at all on the presentation.
They are busy fixing it. We'll be sharing
okay.
it now.
Oh, there we go.
Okay,
Wonderful.
thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And thank you very much for this opportunity and giving us space to give this presentation. The reasoning behind the presentation is, I know we've discussed it with management when we do our management reports and things like that. We talk about the culture shift. It's the AGSA strategy, Culture Shift 2030. And this is basically what we just wanted to introduce in this presentation. We just wanted to have, it's a relatively high level, but hopefully it'll give you some insights. It's Culture Shift 2030, so it's still another 5 years when we reach the end. So it is something that is progressing each year. If we can just pause on this reputational promise, the vision and the mission. This is usually something we gloss over, but I just want to highlight some things here because it does speak to the slides or feeds into the slides later. So just on our mission, so it says the Auditor General of South Africa has a constitutional mandate, and we are the supreme audit institution of South Africa. And we exist to strengthen our country's democracy by enabling oversight, accountability, and governance in the public sector through auditing, thereby building public confidence. So if we can move on to the next slide. And the next one. So you'll see there, Culture Shift 2030. So some of these slides are very busy, but I'm going to speak to them on a relatively high level. So what this one is about is that as supreme audit institutions, not in the world, we have these international standards for these size, for the that we all adhere to. Some of them are standards, some of them have principles. So you'll see this one, this SIP 12, don't get bogged down by the names and things like that. So if you look at the little diagram, it says in the middle, size making a difference to the lives of citizens. So what we wanted to reflect in this slide is that it's not just as the AGSA or the South African branch of the SAI. It's actually nationwide that we're doing this. So our Culture Shift 2030, the bottom line is we actually want to have an impact on the lived realities of South African citizens. So this slide is really showing you that it's not something we've made up as the AGSA, it's something that all the SAIs in the world actually purport to do. And within this, it's like demonstrating ongoing relevance, strengthening the accountability, being a model organization, and then each one of those has got a principle. So, you know, if you really want to see the information, you can read it. But it was just on a high level, it's just to show you and communicate to you that, yeah, it's something that all the SAIs throughout the world actually adhere to or want to do, is to make a difference in the lived realities. So if we can move on to the next one. So one of the critical success factors to doing this Culture Shift 2030 is this accountability ecosystem. And I think probably a lot of you, a few of you, if you've ever been in any meetings or listened to our Auditor General give any feedback to anybody, this is one of the slides and things that she talks about is the accountability ecosystem. So basically it's just showing that there's this ecosystem where everybody has actually got, there's different stakeholders that make up this ecosystem, and that each one has actually got a unique and important role to play. So it's not just the AGSA on our own. We're not just going to try and do it on our own. Yes, we sit in the middle and we want to do these things. We want to influence these stakeholders so that we can actually drive this culture shift. But we just want to reflect here that everybody actually has a, okay, we've lost the, we've lost the, there we go. That everybody actually bears a responsibility, that everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. And that's really what this slide is talking to. So we want to do it, you know, we've spoken about, we want to, you'll see in the middle, it talks about insights and influence and enforcement. So the insights and the influence, that's through our findings, our audit process. Our influence is by having stakeholder engagement such as this one, so that we can actually get the message out there as to what we're trying to achieve. And then the enforcement speaks more to where people are not doing what we've requested to do. That talks about the MI process and material irregularities, which I'm sure most of you have also heard of as well. But I mean, the enforcement is kind of a last resort, and it was brought in to kind of push people who are not responding to our insights and influence, to push them in a certain direction. So yeah, we can move on. Okay, so this is what our aspiration is for the Culture Shift 2030. So what we want to aspire to do. So we want to have a stronger, more direct and consistent impact on improving the liberality of South Africans, which we spoke about, and how we want to achieve this by sustainably and efficiently shifting public sector culture through insight, influence and enforcement, which I've spoken about. So we have what we're calling our continuum. So it's a tool that we're using. So what we do is that we, when we finished an audit, we plot people, or we plot the auditees on this continuum, so we can see, are we shifting them in the right direction? And the direction we want to shift them to is the one right at the end, the green one, which is doing good. Well, anything from doing basics up to doing good is where we want to shift them. So it's a tool that we are using based on the audit outcomes to see, are we having the impact that we want to have? So as I said before, we want to do this by, we provide insights. So that's usually when we do our audit findings and things like that. We give our insights. The influence I've spoken about, how we want to have stakeholder engagements such as this one, where we can influence other stakeholders to also take up the call to shift this culture. And then if, as I said before, if auditees don't respond appropriately, then we do the enforcement. So what that little diagram at the bottom is, where it says PATI, is what we feel the public sector culture should look like. What would it be doing good? So it would be a public sector culture that's characterized by having performance, accountability, institutional integrity, and transparency. So we want to actually transform the culture in the public sector. We want to make sure that this is what that culture would represent. And one of the other slides later on goes into a little bit more detail what the performance, accountability, institutional integrity and transparency is. So if we can move on to the next slide. So as I said, some of these slides are very busy. So what this slide is representing or showing you is for each category. So you'll see at the bottom, it's got doing harm, not doing the basics, doing more than the basics, and doing good. So what we do is we've got certain criteria. I think there's 45 or 49. I'm not sure exactly of the number. I know because they've done changes. They've taken some out. So this is also evolving, and we're hopefully improving it every time we use it. I think this is the second time. This is the second year only that we're doing this. So what we do is we plot everybody against using these criteria, and these criteria are basically from our audit outcome or the audit process that we followed. So basically every criteria, no criteria is more important than another one. So basically if the auditee fails, for want of a better word, in one criteria, say doing the basics, they don't get, if you look under service delivery, it says unqualified opinion, no material findings. If there are material findings under the PDO, then they will be classified as doing the basics, even if there are other things that put them, that they're doing more than the basics with certain criteria. So they rated on the weakest link to say that. That may change going forward, but at the moment that is the way that we are assessing it. So as I say, a very busy slide. I'm not going to go through all the criteria, but just that they are based on our audit processes and our audit outcomes. So we can move on. Okay, there seems to be a slide. I've got a different slide, but it's fine. The slide that's missing, and I think I will share it with you, is that I told you that with the PATI, with the culture shift, the performance, accountability, transparency, and institutional integrity, there's just a little bit more detail. So like with the performance, we talk about delivering on legislative mandate and strategic objectives. Accountability, it's reporting and providing answers on the mandated responsibilities, what actions you're taking, the decisions made, swift consequences for transgressions, and things like that. What I will do is I will send that slide to Doris, and it can be shared with you, because it just gives a little bit more detail and puts that PATI into a bit more perspective. So what we just wanted to also do in these slides was also just, we know that you've seen the audit outcomes, but just to give it in a more schematic with all our focus areas. So we know that it was financially unqualified with other findings, and the other findings related to compliance. So there was nothing on the performance information. Remember, we report on 3 areas: the financial statements, the performance information, and compliance. And it was the expenditure management that ended up with the material non-compliance in the audit report. Let's see if we can just move on. Okay, so this just on the financial statement. So we're just reiterating again that it was an unqualified audit opinion. There were material misstatements that were corrected, but they weren't assessed as being material non-compliance with Section 122. So that's why it didn't appear in the audit report. We can move on. Okay, so the one before that was the expenditure management, and it was just the material non-compliance. So I spoke about, we talked about the accountability ecosystem, and we just wanted to highlight the council and oversight. So this is, I know we don't have the full council here, but this will not be the last conversation that we have on this. This is just more like an introduction and hopefully whetting your appetite to want to know more about it. So again, this is a very busy slide, and there's a lot of numbers and things in it, but basically what it is, we've tried to schematically show what the value chain is for the local government, and those numbers you'll see in further slides where we've linked this value chain with the responsibilities. So we will speak to some of those in later slides. So we're not saying that the local government doesn't know what they need to do, but schematically we've put it in a condensed version so that we can actually link it to that PATI, to the culture, to the doing good, to the good behavior culture that we want to move to. You can move to the next slide, please. So here we're specifically talking about responsibilities of council and the oversight, and we're calling this the power of 5. You'll see there's a hand there with 5, can't say fingers because the thumb is not considered a finger, but 5 digits, and you'll see on the palm of that hand there's the PATI. So what we're trying to do with this slide, which again has a lot of information, but we're trying to link it to the responsibilities and to the PATI and how we see the culture fitting in there. So if you look at, say, the reporting, the purple one at the top, we're saying that there's reports to the MEC of local government, section 47, the report by the MEC, and we see that as being part of the performance and accountability within that culture, that PATI. So each responsibility here is linked to a culture aspect. So you'll see under the interventions, the section 133, we're linking that to accountability and institutional integrity. So you can see that we are saying that culture is already there, but where there are lapses in that culture, those are the things that we want to try and address and influence and hopefully move in the right direction. You can move on to the next one. And again, I apologize, again, a very busy slide, but we're trying to link here the value chain slide. And then this just goes into a little bit more detail to the responsibilities. So if you look at that, responsibilities of the key players and the AES stands for the accountability ecosystem. So if you look at if you look at the level 1, this column in the very first, the accounting officer, we're talking about the AFS and the budgeting. And if you follow that little number 1 on that value chain, it'll fit in there. So here we're just going into more detail of the responsibilities and where they fit in on that value chain. And then again, with the PATI, how they fit into the PATI. And I think the next slide, if you go down to the next slide, there's other role players like internal audit, the audit committee, provincial legislature, premier. And again, these little numbers, the orange numbers, are linked back to that value chain and where the responsibilities fit into that value chain. Then the overall legislative responsibilities, again, this is just, I mean, we know that you know what the legislative responsibilities are. So again, it's just for information. We can move on to the next one. The commitments, if we move on to the next slide, We just wanted to highlight the commitments again, and this is based on the commitment letter that was sent to the mayor, and this was just based on our audit outcomes and the audit findings, and we've just put the status there that could possibly have changed since we did this. Obviously, it's an ongoing, because the commitments get addressed as the as you progress in your financial period. So in a nutshell, so this is the presentation. As I say, there was a lot of information in there. I hope that we've given you at least some idea of where we're going as the AGSA and what our culture shift. It's a big passion for our Auditor General at the moment. But again, this will not be the last time that you hear from us and about this culture shift as we progress and move towards 2030, when we're hoping that we will be reporting back that we've achieved our goals of influencing and moving the culture shift. So I'm not sure if there's any questions or comments. But from my side, that's the end of the presentation. So thank you for your time and for your attention.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Melanie Jofte. Did I pronounce that right?
It's Joffe, Melanie Joffe.
Joffe. Thank you so
Copy with
much.
a
We
J.
really do appreciate your time in presentation. The floor is open for questions. CFO.
Chair, no, not really questions, but just a remark, and I think I did raise this when this presentation was done to management. It seems that one matter can cause you to not be doing things out, not getting there. And I think that is an issue that adds to negative public perception when we consider that one matter can derail a total audit process. And it is just a risk that we need to contend with and make sure that our house is in order, probably to make sure that we do better the next time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, CFO. Anyone else? Director? Robert? Any questions? None. Okay. Thank you so much. You can be excused if you want to, but you're more than welcome to join us for further as we go through our agenda. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
We can move over to number 6. Items for consideration. Please note we have 3 more addendums that will be attached that we would like to attend to as well. And as we're going into the items, I would like to thank the input of the AG, Provincial Treasury, and also the input of the ratepayers, the concerns. Thank you very much. Administration, can you take us through?
Next item, Chair, is C/1/283/101/25, and it's a draft oversight report on the annual report of 2023-2024. And it starts from page 6 of the report.
Item cert.
With the recommendations, Chair, we have made adjustments to that. I've seen it has been adjusted, so therefore we can go with the recommendations.
Thank you, Councillor Blanche. Councillor Swartz.
Sorry, Chair, I couldn't hear what Councillor Blanche said.
The annual report, I propose that we go with the recommendations with the adjustments to the report that was sent through.
Thank you, Councillor. Yes, I'll second that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Item closed. Administration.
Okay. Chairperson, the next item is item number, it's from finance section. It's M/2/102/2023, and it's an unauthorized expenditure.
Item is serving. I would like CFO in MM, you can take us through on this one.
That is on page 59, if I'm not mistaken.
6.
The
There's some changes. Page numbers.
Actually, we are on 66.
recommendation, I think.
Recommendations is on page 70.
Okay. The council taking note. Can you hear me? The council take notice of the circumstances and reasons for the overspending, which resulted in the total unauthorized expenditure amounting to 30,892,944 as reflected in note 55 of the financial statements for the year ended June 2024. That council authorized the overspending in non-cash items to the value of 31,892,944 and authorized the unauthorized expenditure as disclosed in the notes to the annual financial statement as follows. A, 33,744 in respect of the contributed assets. B, 12,942 in respect of depreciation charges relating to the first time recognition of movable assets. C, 31,730,958 in respect of overspending on operational votes in respect of impairment charges and incorrect cost allocations. That the municipal manager be authorized to adjust the annual financial statements accordingly. So it's recommended that this be accepted by the MPAC committee.
CFO.
Okay, Chair. So this relates mainly to the non-cash items as disclosed in the annual financial statements. So when it comes to the contributed assets, it was seen as an acquisition in terms of our linking of the annual financial statements and the accounting records, therefore it's reflected as unauthorized expenditure because the contribution that was done by the public to the municipality was budget for. The only reason why it was there. Need to emphasize that there was no cash outflow in any of the transactions, the mere accounting entries that caused this. Second one is, and I would just like to request that it's just amended movable and immovable assets. It's the annual verification process where the asset verification was done. Upon this verification, we discovered assets that were not taken into the books previously. We did report them into the books, but there was depreciation charges that needed to be done in terms of the accounting records. And as the assets value originally was a little bit higher than what we at the moment that we recognized it. So given that depreciation charges had to be done, and this also caused unauthorized expenditure in those departments. Third one, the 31 million is in terms of impairment. That's mainly traffic fines, as we have already explained in the narrative. It is quite difficult to predict when we go to budget because it fluctuates year on year in accordance with the number of fines issued on the one hand and then the payment rate on those fines on the other. Which means I have to impair some of those debtors in accordance with the actual payment rate, which of course an impairment transaction, and it would be unauthorized as we don't adequately budget. Of course, at budget time, we did not know exactly what. Those are the causes of these transactions. And so when we did the annual financial statements, especially C, which is a big one in terms of I-grade 1, we had to do those transactions to recognize the impairment on those fines that would probably not receive. That is, of course, overspendings being recorded as unauthorized expenditure. So the recommendation on this is, of course, to authorize expenditure that was due to the adjustment of the account.
Thank you, CFO. Councillor Tablash.
Yes, for the explanation. We've also done it in the caucus, so yeah, I go with the recommendations. I don't know if there's anything from Councillor Swartz.
Councillor Swartz.
Thank you, Councillor Blanche. Yes, as we've discussed, most of these are book entries, and I will I'm prepared to second the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Swartz. Administration, do you have it? You can proceed.
Okay, thank you, Chair. We have addendum number 1. And the first item on the addendum is MPAC 2/03/25. And it's the fruitless and wasteful expenditure on SARS. And the item starts on page 75.
Ma'am, can you take us through?
Chairperson, the legislation is clear how we need to deal with fruitless and wasteful expenditure. The item, as you can see, there was almost jumping of the gun by one of the officials admitting, but the legislation is clear. We need to put them through a process of consequence management, and fruitless and wasteful expenditure needs to be referred to the disciplinary committee. As I'm saying, and we need to conclude on this matter.
Thank you. Director? CFO?
Thank you, Chair. So once again, the issue that occurred earlier in the financial year that was under review, so it's the year in 2024, where there was a late payment of payers to SARS immediately, there's 10% penalty. Unfortunately, the reaction time of the staff that matter was a little bit slow, and that penalty caused interest. So we did a request for remission, and that request for remission entails SARS to consider our submission and then reverse the penalty. So initially they did not accede to our request. Then we took further to an alternative resolution mechanism. But in the meantime, somehow, somewhere, they decided to reverse the penalty. Like the penalty was reserved first, and the only thing that left on this was the interest charges. Voluntarily, one of the officials said to pay half of it, the other one said and usually that is a sanction that needs to be done through a disciplinary process or a consequence management process. So we are asking Council to consider this, consider the fact in mandate the municipal manager to take the necessary action.
Thank you, CFO. Councillor Blanche?
Again, Chairperson, course of recommendation number 5. The administration is busy in the municipal manager, so therefore I can go with the recommendations.
Councillor Blanche, can we not amend number 5 and do just add on that we need to get the money back? Just add that recommendation.
Yes, in terms of recovering, yeah.
Correct.
I think the disciplinary process, Mr. Lotter, it's clear you
Must get the money back, but just.
So if we get this thing, make sure that it's reflecting in the recommendation.
And then can we also add the recommendation that MPAC gets a report back when the matter is finalized?
Okay.
Councillor Swartz?
Thank you, Chair. With those additions, I'll second the recommendations.
Thank you, Councillor Swartz. Administrator, did you update that recommendations?
Yes, Chair, I'm trying.
Thank you. We can proceed.
And the next item on the addendum is MPAC 4/03/25, and it's irregular expenditure on the AMLO Trading Pty Ltd.
Item is served.
Yeah, I want if the acting MM can guide us on this, because there's some clarity seeking from this thing. Acting MM?
A lot of the circumstances under which this happened.
Yes. AMLO trading was a matter that was discovered by the AG during the annual audit. So this relates to a tender in services where the tender award was made, and afterwards discovered that tax matters at the time of payment was upon the submission of the tenders, if the verification is done to make sure that we can consider them for award. At the time of submission, the tax matters of this company was in order. However, at the time of payment, tax matters were no longer in order. It seems that what failed was the verification of the tax matter before the final award was. For the presentation of the high verification committee, was said that the tax matters were in order, although they were not going to confirm to be in order, which would mean that in accordance with the irregular expenditure framework, this company should never have been awarded this tender, whether there was value for money or not. That is the problem. That an administrative oversight caused the irregular expenditure in the sense that the tax matters weren't in order on the time of the time. I think we have set it out in the report. There was no financial harm scores, no.
Morning, afternoon.
We would also said there that we do not think that any of you should be personally held liable if money was there and payment was made for the company. Yet, it does not exclude the failure of the internal contract process and the recommendation impacts added that the cost management process still be followed by the accounting office in terms of those officials not applying the control framework.
Thank you, CFO. Any further input?
I've got sympathy with officials. You see, at the time of when you go through the tender process, at the time of awarding, the tax matters are in order. Was that the case, Felix? At the time when the tender was evaluated, the tax matters were in order. So later on with payment, when you effect payment, you find out after the fact that a period expired where the tax matter was not in order, but it just puts us on our toes to apply due diligence before you finally close off on the matter. A recheck, basically.
I really do think this is the stage where that we need to stand still and do reflection on ourselves. What are we doing as officials? Because this is the very same reason why we get the audit results that we had. From my side, in my recommendation would be that we add on there needs to be consequence management to the relevant officials. Because we need to take accountability. We need to take accountability. That is why we here, as our oversight role, is to make sure that these type of things doesn't happen again. Councillor Swartz?
Thank you, Chair. It's always difficult to say whether it was intentional or not. And in the framework of the time it takes for a tender, 2 or 3 months, you'd assume that the matters would still be in order. So it's difficult to say whether it was deliberate by the official or not. But I think something needs to be done in a sense of consequence in terms of maybe just reminding the officials that they need to follow the procedures that are laid down in the supply chain management process, because it's by not following the steps that we get into a situation like that. So I think probably to add in as point number 6, that there is consequence management applied to the official, and it might eventually just be in the matter of verbal warning or something, but also to reinforce the supply chain that they should be following the procedures as well. So maybe just a reinforcement to all supply chain just to make sure that we follow procedures, and then move numbers. Point number 6 is not point number 7.
Administration? Councillor Blanche?
Yeah, it's the same. My view remains the same. As much as we sometimes make mistakes, it's understandable. But the role of MPAC shouldn't be seen as let it go there to rectify. It's yes, we have seen the explanations about understaff and everything, but it shouldn't be seen that this is the place where we can jump to. Irrespective of whether you are understaffed, whether you are what. At BAC level, just before you announce and things, there's certain things you must, like a checklist, must have a look at things. And I mean, if it's at that stage where you fail to do a proper check on your things, it shouldn't be then that let's let it go to MPAC, you see. So yes, we understand there's going to be consequence management, and at this moment in time, we understand the item in front of us, the recommendations is clear. But this shouldn't be the platform where we just agree to write off and everybody gets away with it. And then the next one comes and the next one comes. Because it goes on to where people talk about these kind of things. And then we say, no, let it go there. They did it with that one, they did it with that.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm quite happy, but I just needed to emphasize that MPAC shouldn't be the place where we just try and get rid of things. Seconded speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Tablanche.
Chairperson, so.
Next item.
Okay, I'm gonna go to. The next item, Chair, is the irregular expenditure of Telkom, and it's MPAC 5/3/25. And it's the issue of Telkom.
The income at the end.
Income.
No, there's still one more, the Telkom. We received that late.
The Telkom is late.
Mr. CFO, you're the champion today.
Thanks. And the AG is still in the room. It's the AG every year when we do the annual audit, keep something up their sleeve to throw at us. So this year it's how the fuel purchases. Yes, sir. In terms of their determination, Telkom ultimately we ceded to that. The Telkom is no longer an organ of the state. Although there was still some confusion from the National Treasury as well that regarding the schedule of state institutions that still included the Telkom name, but we made payment to Telkom as an organ of the state. Unfortunately, there was also a court case that said that Telkom is no longer an organ of the state. Yet this municipality, through all the years, continued to do business with Telkom as if they were an organ of the state. Nonetheless, because we have acceded to this, we also disclosed the amount in the annual financial statement as being irregular because there was no supply chain process followed to get to the services of Telkom. As you can see in the financial implication, there's not only the amount that was paid in the 23-24 financial year, but there was also payment made since 2018, which Telkom was no longer regarded as an organ of the state, in the amount of 9.7 million rand that needs to be disclosed in the annual financial statements. But this item is a request to council. Also, yes, MPAC to consider recommending to council to write off this amount because irregular expenditure needs to be written off if it's justifiable. Municipality did business with Telkom. We got value for money. We had our telephones in order most of the time. Yes. And the only way to regularize this now is to get approval of council to write it off and to get it out of the books. As a remedial action, we have now also participated in the RT tender for telecommunication services that was issued by the National Treasury. And we have signed the agreement, and from 1 March this year, we are also participating in RT 15. And prize or not, we also again got services of Telkom. So from Telkom to Telkom, one being irregular, the other one not. Nonetheless, presented for a consideration to be written off. And that we also say no official can be personally held liable to pay in this 11 million rand by help, the 9 million. And we recommend to council. But also please take note of the action taken to prevent this from recurring.
Thank you, CFO. Councillor Tablanche.
Thank you, Chair. It seems like with every audit cycle, the AG comes with a curveball of some sort. The previous one was this as well. So yes, as the CFO has explained, that it's one of these anomalies that we now have to correct because of decisions made, and that there have been measures put in place to prevent some similar thing occurring. So I would propose that we go with 6 recommendations.
Seconded.
Thank you. Item is closed. As we will be moving to the next item, that's in committee. The public And everyone online will be excused. We can take a 5-minute break. Thank you. I know you're tired. We done. Ik hoop van jou zo. Ah, yes. Yes.
Sure.
Yes. Gavin. We switch.
Ja, ik van een MPAC. Ja, dat is dat.
Oh, you are so good.
Nee, maar je wat? Ja, man.
It's a fine time to see.
Jullie Peter la meaning. Hij was een hoorspel.